welcome back to the green yard. It is a once again a chilly March now day. This winter this year just doesn't seem to be going away, unfortunately, and we are still getting our very low 40 degree temperatures. Last night was actually in the high 30s, and for it being the beginning of March, that's pretty crazy. This year, this winter has lasted a lot longer. We've had a lot colder weather than we have in the past. So luckily, most of our tropicals are still doing really well, and most of the plants in the green yard are still doing really well also. We're over here in our stone fruit orchard part of the green yard, where we have this line of our beautiful stone fruit trees along this west facing fence. And we've done a bunch of videos so far this year in this part of the green yard, which is kind of an area we haven't really talked a lot about before. We did our pruning an Asian pear tree, our winter pruning of that Asian pear tree. We winter pruned both our Granny Smith and our Pink Lady apple tree as well. Pink Lady apple tree is going crazy right now. Just the most blossoms I've ever seen, just covered. The whole thing's just covered in white and pink blossom. It is beautiful. It smells amazing. All the rest of our trees haven't quite woken up yet. This is our Honeycrisp apple tree, which we'll do a winter pruning video on next year. It does look like it might fruit this year, or at least flower. Probably not fruit, but at least flower this year. Definitely do an update if that happens. But why we're here is we're here for our beautiful tree. This one next to me, this is our Dwarf Bonanza Peach tree. Now, I know a lot of people, some people really like Dwarf Bonanza Peaches, some people really don't like them, and I've kind of been on the fence. So far, I've had this tree for over 3 years. I actually planted it originally in the old house that we had before taking it out of the ground when we bought this house and moving it to the green yard, and it has done absolutely nothing for me. It hasn't flowered, it hasn't fruited, it hasn't done anything. It has grown in size. It's about tripled in size, which has been awesome. Last year was a really good year for it. It grew exponentially, at least a foot, maybe a foot and a half. Last year is how much it grew. This year, though, it is loaded with blossoms. We have some that are already flowering out. You can see these beautiful pinkish purple blossoms. It is just covered. Everywhere I look, I see little tiny buds blooming out. So I wanted to do a growing video, because I have a feeling that I'm going to be harvesting and doing a harvest video of our Dwarf Bonanza Peaches this year. So let's go ahead, let's talk about how this plant has really thrived, how I've been able to have it be successful in this incredibly intense environment. This is a west facing block wall, and it gets sun all day long. So it in the summer, it probably deals with 115, 120, 130 degree temperature, especially against this block wall, and it really gets no reprieve until probably 5, 6, probably like 6:30 in the afternoon. So let's go through kind of the planting, as well as kind of those amendments that I've done for this Dwarf Bonanza Peach tree. Here we go. Here's our beautiful Dwarf Bonanza Peach tree. You can see some of these amazing blossoms that I was talking about earlier. They really are just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And they smell really, really good too. I actually really like the coloring of this one. It's like this vibrant magenta color. Really beautiful. But as I mentioned before, I mean, there's buds all over this tree. Everywhere I look, I see blossoms. So we're definitely gonna get some really, really great fruit this year. You can see, like I mentioned before, it's about that 3 feet, 3.5, actually maybe even a little bit higher. I was gonna prune it this year and it just ended up not happening, and I'm kind of happy I didn't, just because I'm gonna get that fruit for the first time, although next winter I will definitely have to prune this tree. So what has been successful for me with this tree is, once again, doing that mulch. You'll notice this is actually one of the thickest trunks that I have. It is probably the size of like one of those yellow wiffle ball bats. So it's a really thick tree. I don't have any sprouts going below the graft, which is really great. I do try to move this like the mulch away from the trunk. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. You'll see though when I pull out this beautiful soil that's been created here in and around our Bonanza Peach tree. That's all from mulching. I know I'm a big proponent of mulching. I talk about it all the time, but it is really something that you have to do for most of the trees here in the Phoenix area to help them survive. This is about 1.5 feet of mulch right now. I actually need to remulch it to get it to back to where I want it to be. I want it to be under about 2 feet of mulch for this beautiful Bonanza Peach tree. As you saw, it really helps to create that beautiful organic matter. In fact, even if I go in here, you can see it's breaking down. All this mulch is breaking down. I was trying to originally kill the Bermuda grass. It hasn't quite worked, but it is creating that organically rich soil, and that's helped it to where I only have to water this tree once every 2 weeks. I don't have to water it any more than that. Even in the blazing summer heat, I still only water it once every 2 weeks, which is really amazing. The other thing too is that sulfur. You'll notice I have some here. I just actually reapplied. It's the beginning of the year, so I always reapply my sulfur beginning of the year, and I do that about every 4 months or so. I reapply, and that sulfur helps to allow the tree to take up that nutrient. It changes the pH of the soil to allow the tree to be able to take up those nutrients that our mulch is creating, that our fish emulsion is creating. I did notice a huge difference in growth after I started applying fish emulsion last year once a month. And now this year, this tree has all of these new beautiful buds everywhere I look, and I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot of peaches this year. All right, so short growing update. Not a whole lot to talk about with this tree. Peaches are a pretty easy tree to grow here in the Phoenix area, especially if you apply that heavy mulch like I did. It really helps to retain that moisture, create that more organically rich soil. Remember, if we have more organic matter in the soil, it actually acts like a sponge, and it can absorb and hold on to that moisture for a longer period of time, which really helps our trees, obviously our tropical trees, but also our bare root trees, our stone fruit trees, when we're talking about putting them in a spot where they take full sun all day long, like this one does here in those really high temperatures. I'm so excited to try some Bonanza Peaches on camera with you. I have a feeling it's going to be a really good harvest this year, or at least I'm hopeful that it's going to be a really good harvest this year. You can see we also had some leaves already start coming out back here as well. I'm excited for those leaves to obviously grow and start shading that fruit. Bonanza Peaches have a really cool structure to them where they do kind of fold around everything, and it's hard to find those fruits. So I look forward to doing a harvest video here soon. And as always, live green, plant lots, and of course have fun. We'll see you guys next time.